In the 17th century, the British Isles, Mothering Sunday, it was called Mothering Sunday. And that Mothering Sunday was celebrated on the fourth Sunday in Lent. That's just before Easter, so fourth Sunday after. Then that Mothering Sunday was celebrated. It was on this day, servants and apprentices, because people used to work far away from home. So on that particular day, servants and apprentices were encouraged to take the day off and visit their mothers back home, back in shacks. So they will be encouraged to go and visit their mothers back home, wherever they were. While other countries also have a multi-century history of a day to celebrate mothers, the modern American version of the holiday began in the United States in the 20th century at the initiative of Anna Jarvis. She organized the first Mother's Day service of worship and celebration at St. Andrew's Methodist Episcopal Church in Grafton, West Virginia, which serves as the International Mother's Day shrine even today. So if there's a shrine, there's one shrine in Grafton, West Virginia, where they celebrate this beginning of the Mother's Day. It is not directly related to the many traditional celebrations of mothers and motherhood that have existed throughout the world over thousands of years, such as the Greek cult of Cybele, the mother deity of Rhea, or the Roman festival of Hilaria, or the other Christian Mothering Sunday celebrations. But this was a special one. And so the American version of Mother's Day has become what is globally known as a Mother's Day that is celebrated every second Sunday of May. And so today we want to join with all the mothers all over the world to celebrate Mother's Day. So once again, mothers, we celebrate you. We want to recognize you. I don't know what Sonia is doing, but we will reward and celebrate all the mothers. And to help us celebrate Mother's Day, we can release the children. Yes, please. Children can be released to Life Kids. And to help us celebrate Mother's Day, I just want to share with us a quote from one Robert Bondi. It says, "Motherhood, all love begins and ends here. All love begins and ends with motherhood." And to help us understand a lot more about motherhood, this particular Sunday, we have somebody special who was invited to just come and share. She's a member of our church. She's a member of this church. So often when we talk about Mother's Day, we are thinking more particularly about the mothers who are just the mothering, and sometimes it's the way it's taken and the way we treat it is more or less mothers who are maybe housewives, those who are staying at home with their mothers. But today we want to bring a different angle to this. Just share with to help us understand that there are women there in the corporate world that also are mothers, and we want to celebrate one of those that is our midst this morning. And so I want us to put our hands together as we welcome Nelly Kendi Gitonga, who is a mother, and now I know many of you don't know, she's very humble. She is the regional retail manager of Ruby's oil company. So those of you who drive, please make sure you fuel at Ruby's. And that will be giving her a little bit more sales a little bit more bonus in our place of work. So if you drive, please, Kiana Ruby's, fuel up, see Shell, you go Ruby's. So I want to invite Nelly to come. I want Uze, let's help us to bring these chairs a bit in front here.
Okay, so good morning, church.
Good morning.
It's really a pleasure and an honor to be here. So Nelly Kendi, as the pastor has said, I'm a career woman. I've been in the corporate world for 17 years now. I'm a mom to two boys, Kim seated there, and Ethan. So I've been a mom for, Kim is now going to 15 years. So I also have quite a bit of experience there.
Yes. So 17 years in the corporate world, 16 years of mothering.
Yes, 16 years.
Wow. That's a long time. That's a long time. So what has been your experience being, first and foremost, a mother, just being a mother?
Well, I'm telling you, before I became a mom, okay, most of us women will think about, myself, what I want for myself. But once you become a mom, hey, that's completely changes. You have another small creature there who's waiting and looking up to you. And I think being a mom kind of expands your heart to love even more. It's like almost overflowing with love. Motherhood is about its joy, its happiness, it is sacrificing, it is a full-time job, there's no manual. So for me, being a mom is the greatest gift that God could have given me. And for me, I consider my job 8 to 5, but mothering is 24 hours, 7 days, 365 days a year. So that for me is motherhood.
Wow, I like that. You see, it has expanded your heart for love and just the care that you give, and that's very, very important. Sacrifice, you no longer think about yourself, always thinking about your children. How was your working in the corporate world? And I like what you say. Corporate job is 9 to 5, but sometimes, especially as you rise up the corporate ladder, it can be more than even just a 9 to 5. So how have you been able to balance having risen the corporate ladder and where you are at now, and your mother?
Okay, I would say my journey as a mom and being in the corporate world, I think most of it's God who's been able to give me that balance. When I started in the corporate world, I didn't have a child, and when I got Kim, I got Kim when I was in an environment which was very, how do you say, flexible. I was in Safaricom at that time, so it was pretty easy. They really used to go out of their way to make sure that us as mothers felt we were taken care of. So we had creche. If people know Safaricom, they know. We had mothers, they still have them, the creche where you could take your child in case your house, we have house girl dramas. Yes. That is normal. Yeah. So the creche will be where you take your child in case maybe your house girl is not around. We also had the mother's room where you could actually what do you call it, express milk and keep it. So actually all my kids are exclusive 6 months. I did 6 months exclusive breast milk. I didn't struggle. So I think it's God. For me, it's God, because not many people, many mothers in the corporate world are able to do that. So if I look at when my children were young, my job was very flexible, and as they grow older, kids tend to, as they grow older, they become less detached, and as they become less detached, I was moving in my career. And that's why I say it's God, because the roles I now started taking were a bit more demanding, but the kids were also not as clingy. Yes. So it enabled me to manage being a mom and being a corporate lady. And up to now, of course, my role is much bigger, and you can see my kids are now teens, with Kim being 15 and Ethan being 13, almost 13. So that I think was one of the things that has helped for me to be able to do my role and yet be in the corporate world. Another thing is I was very intentional. Like I said, I know the corporate world, you can end up working long hours, so I will try and balance. If I have to get to the office at maybe 6:30, 7, I will make sure at least I get home as early as possible, but that is not always the case. When I feel I have not spent a lot of time with my kids, I will take I will do something maybe over the weekend. I find a way to, maybe spend time with them. So there's something we've always done with my kids, because my house girls used to be those ones which they work Monday to Friday, Saturday wameenda, wanarudi Sunday. So those weekends, my kids used to love. We were only the two of us, the three of us in the house. I would cook. At times my husband is there, we cook together. So that cooking for them every Saturday, I was very consistent. So I was consistently doing it to now. If I don't cook on Saturday, hey, inakuwa shida, because they've gotten used to it. So it is that you have to find a way of, intentionally spending quality time with the kids. Time that they will never forget. Time that will stick with them for the rest of their lives. I started, I think during COVID, because we've gone through, 15 years of mothering. There have been some seasons which have been quite hectic. COVID was one of them. They would spend the whole day in the house. So I can't stay for so long in the house. I'll end up, looking for something to do outside. So at times I would just go out and drive and, look out and maybe sit somewhere want to just be outdoors.
Yeah.
So what I started doing with the kids, I would take them on a date. So I'll take Kim alone.
Yes.
Because now Kim was a preteen, 10, 11, going to preteen.
Yes.
So I started going out with him, let's go for lunch,
Yes.
go for a date.
Yeah.
We have a chat, just
Yes.
bond.
Yes.
Ethan loved the dates more than Kim. Let me just say. Yeah, but you see, kids are very different. So Ethan is a foodie. We are good. So we will bond. That's one way of also I balance that.
Yes.
So just bonding with them, and also taking care of myself. So taking care of me enabled me to also be able to, spread that to my children. I love to shop, so I'll just go out, shop. So some of the times that's what I do. I'll go out and shop. When we also used to go on holidays. I'll take time, we say every year we go for a holiday. Every year we go for we go somewhere to bond, us as a family. And then also having that strong support system. Your mom, at least I'm lucky, my parents are still we grew up in Nairobi, so my parents are still here, so I'm lucky. Having that strong support system, my siblings, we are 4 of us, with Eric being the oldest, and they support you. There are times when you cannot maybe be able to meet certain obligations, and they are the ones who come in and help you out. So that also helps you as a career woman. There are times when you cannot be able to take care of your kids. Maybe the office is quite hectic, and they will come in and help you out. So that is, I would say that's what has helped for me to be able to balance and be able to meet my obligations as a mom.
Thank you so much. So I'm hearing balance. Even as guys, as we are supposed to provide and take care of our families, we also struggle with that. I think for you ladies is how mothering and your work. But somebody will help me understand that idea that, as you walk, your balance, that's part of balance. Yes, the walking itself is balance. So which means you can do both. But sometimes we make it look like it's either this or that, but it can be both. And I like what you're saying, how you've been able to balance. But to be able to balance, you say that you have to be very intentional. Yes, because if you're not intentional, then one can take preeminence over the other, and so often because in your place of work the demand is there, you're going to be paid at the end of the month, or you may be sacked, so you tend to focus a lot there and neglect your children. So I love that you have been very, very intentional. Yes, those weekends cooking, and there's nothing like a mother's food. Even for us husbands, I keep saying, I tell Grace, you chapati is so your food as a mother is also key, and I'm happy that you're able to deliberately take those weekends and have be able to make for them food. Consistency of said as well, so consistently being there for them. And we thank God for organizations like Safaricom, which now are recognizing that to be able to retain these mothers in the corporate, they also need to provide the space for them, especially when the babies are young, so that mother can nurse without her mind can focus on work, not worried about the child at home. So that's wonderful. I like what you said about dating. So tell me, you're a mother of boys. How is it raising boys?
Boys are quite a handful.
Yes.
But let me tell you, boys love their moms.
Yes.
They are like your security team. Yes. People tell me you look like you work with bodyguards. Oh, boys are really awesome.
Yeah.
And I think, for me the saddest thing is, I think as a community, I get to see we are forgetting the boy child.
Yes.
And we need to get back to that, because the boy child has been neglected. We've really concentrated on the girl child.
Yes.
But boys are so amazing. They love their moms you cannot believe. They're there for, they will sit with you and tell you stories that at times they won't tell their father. Their father is more of the disciplinarian and the friend. But I'm able to, because of that relationship, I started when they were very young. Like I said, my house girls used to leave weekends, unless when I had now those shift jobs. So I started that, creating that bond with them from a very young age. We'll go out, I'll take them out, and during that time we were just talking. The dating was because now as they get older, like I said, they get more detached, like they're not so needy, and then they become teens. So they get to, they're in gadgets and they want to have some privacy. Kuna kale ka personal space, this is my space. So that's why I had to do the dating, because I was saying, now I'm losing the two babies, they're becoming bigger. So I had to find a genius way of doing it. So for me, but boys are something else. They're less, I find them quite energetic. But if you get to know them, as understand their personality, take time, they're very straightforward. Of course, as they grow older, they want to identify more with their father, because they're men, growing into men. So, but creating that relationship, when they can come and tell me, boys are still vulnerable, just like the girls. So my son, I think my youngest, will come, at times will come and cry and tell me. Ethan is more the emotional type. He'll come and tell me maybe something that has hurt him. So it's not that because they're boys, they don't have emotions. So I try to encourage them to actually get in touch with their emotions, cry it out. I think the other day I was telling him, cry it out if you want to. And I encourage them. I tell them, before you act, let's say you've been angered, because I think Ethan is quick to anger. He gets angry very fast, but he's the most sweetest boy. So before you act, think, what with that, if whatever I want to do, what impact will it have? So before you are so quick to action, to take that action. So it's that encouragement for me that also works with the boys. But boys are really, they're really great.
Thank you. Yeah, I have two sons, so I know that every time they are there with their mother, making all the stories, they are really coming to me. So I understand what you say. But I like also what you're saying, because so often I remember us growing. The men, our fathers will tell us, don't cry, boys don't cry. So that really made us not be in touch with our emotions. But I'm glad with what you're saying, encouraging your son, because that's an important aspect of us, and especially men as they grow older, that you're then able to input in that, so that they can be able to be in touch with their own emotions. What have been some of the lows in your mothering journey?
I think one of the challenges for mothers is when your child is unwell. Oh, that is something. I know Martha went through that with Andy. So one of the lows for me, because I'm not just my sons, not their mother only. I believe motherhood is, also, a child is raised by the community. So one of the lows was when Andy was unwell. That one really affected all of us. And as a mom, like I say, your heart is bigger. Before you had a child, you were thinking of yourself. Once you have a child, hata ukiona ule mtoto chokora amelala on the street, it touches you, because that is you being a mom. So when even a child who is unwell in your family, it affects you. So that was one of my lowest in being a mother. And of course, when kids get sick, Kim, when he was almost 2 years, he got really sick, pneumonia. The other is when a child exhibits behaviors that you do not, of course, agree to. That is another law. Because, of course, the reason why we have been given these children is to bring them up, to know God, to become important people in the community, in the society, to have an impact in the society eventually. There's no mom, there's no father who does not want to see their children succeeding. So when you see your child starting to exhibit behaviors that are bad, tunafanyanga nini, tunaeka kiboko. So there's a time actually Ethan stole a sweet from the shop. I was so furious because I remember I did that when I was a kid, and my dad beat the hell out of me. I would never steal again. But for me, that was my lowest, because I cannot imagine my child becoming a thief. You know, it is the worst thing a mother can go through when you have a child who has, you know, taken up the vices that you see that are not good. So that was another low for me. And of course, tulirekebisha, tulichapa. I even locked him out of the house. I told him, I do not raise thieves. I remember I really cried. He said he's so sorry. He returned the sweet, came back home, and I opened for him the door. So that's another law for me. You know, when a child is sick, when a child doesn't do what you expect them to do. Another is when you're not able to, you know, like, meet your obligation as a mom. In the corporate world, that happens. So you find yourself, you have a meeting, you have a class meeting as well. And that's why I say the support system comes in. Like, my husband now will have to we have to agree now, you will go for that school meeting because me I have to go to the office, because maybe it's a very important meeting you can't get out of. But at times, of course, you end up postponing. But missing those important dates for, you know, whether it's school, it's something that your child is really interested in, and you're not there, that is a low for any mom. Yes. So for me, that is one of them.
Thank you. And I think that it's important that Kim and the other children know that when we discipline them, it's also painful to us.
It's painful,
not that we rejoice or are happy punishing them. But it's very funny that you say that your son did exactly what you did as a kid. So, you know, our sins come after us. Some of the things we did. And that then should help us also be compassionate towards them. As much as we realize that they are doing wrong. But just to remember, these habits are coming from somewhere. But I can imagine it's a very painful thing, and I know that for mothers, even as the kids grow up, you know, when they're not turning out the way you thought they would turn out, can be a very, very painful thing. But you've also mentioned something about just not being able to be there for them. Do you sometimes, you know, there's something we call, in psychology, they call it mom guilt. Yes. Do you sometimes find yourself suffering from that, feeling guilty because of your work and you've not been able to be there for your children?
It's so much. In the corporate, if you've not gone through mom guilt, then you must be in a very nice company. Because the minute you walk out of that door, already the guilt is there. Especially when they were young. And you are leaving them with a stranger. For you, it's a stranger. The first time after maternity. Tumeacha mtoto, the guilt, you're thinking, mtoto sasa nimemwacha akwaje. I remember some mothers used to come with the kids to crash, not because the house girl is not there, but they just want to keep an eye on the child. So that mom guilt is really there. It will never, I don't think it can ever end. It's always there, even as old as they are. When you find yourself in the office past 5 p.m., you're thinking, the kids. Oh, I would have been, you know, maybe doing something with them right now, but you can't. But what I say is make up for it as much as you can. As a mom, don't beat yourself up. You have people who are also there to support you, and that's why I also say get good house help. And she really helped. So as much as I was guilty, at least I knew they were in good hands. So I think that having that support system is really good. But I would say don't beat up yourself. You'll always feel that guilt, but you're doing the best for your child. That is what should comfort you. And that, you know, you have God by your side to guide you, to lift up your spirits, you know, pray over your children, wherever they are. Come on, unascare your guilt. At times I'll just pray and say, I hope he's okay at home, especially when they are babies. I hope he's okay. God will protect them, and, you know, give it to God. Let it go. Let God handle it for you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I know that's a big lesson for parents and more for mothers. Just letting go and trusting that God will take care. Yeah, more than you, God is concerned. I remember when Kim was going to Kabarak, very, very well, boarding school, that he suffered some, that detachment was such a thing, yeah, but learning to trust that God will take care of them. And as we say that, I just realized how sometimes we forget the blessing of having a good house help. And so as we celebrate Mother's Day, we also need to celebrate those house helps, because they step in as mothers when you are doing what you need to do in the corporate world. So that's also something that we need not to forget. So as we give a shout out there to mothers, we also want to remember the house helps who are mothers between 8 and 5 and weekdays, when the mothers, especially those in the corporate world, are out there doing what they need to do. But I also appreciate what you're saying, because that mom guilt is a good thing. Because if you didn't have it, then it means you don't care about your children. So it shows that you care about them. And as you're saying that, I was just reminded, for us men, we don't have, it's not more father guilt, but it's husband guilt, because we have, every time it's you, people complain that you're never there for me, but I need to be out there working. So we also feel that guilt, as much as we have to do what we need to do, but our wife is saying, you're not spending time with us. So as we feel it more with our wives than you do, just the same way that you do with your children. Any highs in your mothering journey? So you can say these have been my high points.
That guy over there, he made me a very proud mom.
Wow.
He did his class 8 and he really passed well. But we had objectives. No, the good thing about being in corporate, tunajua kufanya KPIs, objectives, this is where we are going. So I would say corporate actually has helped me even mothering my children. When we started, I asked him the first time, what do you want to achieve? Because you cannot go through life without knowing what you want. So what do you want to achieve? Of course, he told me, of course I want to get 400 plus. So I told him, now for you to get 400, you need to know what is it that you're good at. You do like a SWOT analysis. My strengths, he's very good in maths and sciences. But he struggled with languages, especially Kiswahili. So I told him, now, which school do you want to go to? I told him about, of course I was helping him. Kabarak is private, there is Mamu, there is Alliance. But also getting to these schools is not easy. The public schools, at least the private you can, you just apply once you get your results. So he opted, he said, I want to go to Kabarak. I told him, now Kabarak takes 400 plus. So if you want to go to Kabarak, you know what you need to do. The weakness, the SWOT analysis, ile patuko weak. We need to do something. Now, I think one of the things I would also encourage mothers, in such a situation, like now when we started that journey for class 8, their school used to have a parents meeting, and then they had a committee. So mimi nilijiingiza kwa hiyo committee. Yes, nikajiingiza huko so that he sees I'm very, very intentional in what I want him to achieve. And he made me proud. This boy, I got him a tutor for Kiswahili, because now Kiswahili ilikuwa ngumu. I got him a tutor for Kiswahili, but this boy, he actually became very self-driven. He would wake up at 4:30 to read. I would tell him, why are you waking up so early? Even me and the dad were worried. They're like, hey, mtoto anasoma sana. Hey, paka we tell him, go for soccer on Saturday, like try and do something. He will, yes, you can go for soccer, but he will make sure every day 4:30 ameamka kusoma. When last year I went to see my sister. My sister is a doctor in the UK, and she was so impressed by him. She was like, "Can Jeremy? Jeremy. You remember Jeremy? The oldest son. He's very playful. Jeremy, can you see what your cousin is doing? you need to follow." But he made me proud. He really made me proud as a mom. When the results came out, he had actually scored A's in English, Kiswahili, mathematics. Yes, he had actually A's. I could not believe Kim scored an A in Kiswahili. I was like, hey, kumbe, this thing can be possible. But that was one of the proudest moments. You should have seen me. I was in a meeting. I was in a conference, a manager's conference forum, in Karen, I remember. And when I got those results, I was almost screaming. People asking me, what is it? What is it? We were doing rem tables.
Yes.
People asking me what. I told them my son scored 403 marks. So I'm so happy. I was so excited. That is the proudest moment I've ever had in my life as a mom.
Yes. Thank you. And I'm glad that you able to connect the two. What you've learned in the corporate and applying it also in your mothering. And so often, we do a lot of couples things, and I say, these things you learn, KPIs, this SWOT analysis, they can also apply in your marriage, you can apply in your family life. Because so often we think we are very good at applying them out there, but we rarely apply them in our own personal life. So I'm glad to hear that. The importance of a support system, very, very key. Just having family around you to support you in that time, and not being ashamed to rejoice and to celebrate your children, even in that corporate space. So your parting shot to the mothers out there, how can you encourage them, especially those in the corporate world? What would be your advice, what would be your encouragement to the mothers out there?
I would say, of course, be very intentional with the way you bring up your children. Take that time. What works for me might not work for you. And what works for you might not work for me. Our children are very different. Their personalities are different. You read so many books, but most of them are guides. They're not, they will not tell you exactly what, they will just tell you this is how you can do it. But it might not work for your child. I'm not saying don't read them, it's okay, but like I said, motherhood has no manual. So it is your instinct as a mom. What do you think will work for your child? Then that is what you need to do. Be very interested in what they love. My kids love soccer, so now mimi nimekuwa mtu wa soccer. I'm an Arsenal fan. Me and my husband, we've always been Arsenal, but I was not very keen on watching soccer. But because they really love it, I drop them for their soccer practice. I started taking them for soccer. They've developed that love for soccer. And then now I got a house girl, my new fan. Watokangi kwa TV weekends. There is a lot of banter in the house. We make fun of each other. So be interested in things that they love. If your child wants to be a pilot, like my Ethan, even you show interest. Hey, what is this piloting about? So if your child wants to, whatever they want to do, they want to play soccer, I sit and watch games with them. And that already is bonding. It's bonding, you're spending time. So be very interested, be very intentional with how you bring up your children. Talk to them. Kids are they can tell you things that you didn't know. Talk to them, but just be interested. Because also, when you're interested, you want to see what are they even watching on those phones? What are they watching on TV? How is it impacting them in their lives? And I will say again, mom guilt, don't beat yourself up. That support system is there to help, to lessen the guilt. It will always be there, but like I said, once you're intentional, it lessens that feeling of, I can't do this. So that is what I'll say. And of course, trust them. Pray over your children always, because God's love, when He made us mothers, He wanted to show us what His love is like. Because the way you love your child, it's so unconditional. And that is what God has actually shown us. That His love is unconditional. He will move mountains for you. And the way you will move mountains for your children is the same way God. So you remember that the way you love your children, even God loves you the same way. So why not also lean on Him? Because He's there just for you, to bring out the best in you. He only cares for what is good. Because a mother's love is good, God loves what is good. So at the end of it, mother's love is the best. It is high up there. As fathers, yes, you also experience the same, but as we bring forth, we go through a serious experience. So it automatically, in your womb, your love is already, you've already loved that child. So it is a love that is never ending. I'll never stop seeing them as my children. I will always see them as my children. I will sacrifice for my children. Happiness. I will it's such unconditional love that you cannot explain. Yes.
Thank you so much. You know, we so often think about Father's love. I think the worship team are telling me, there are many songs about the Father, but you've brought out such a beautiful thing about the mother's love that connects us and reminds us of God's love. You know, just the fact that you've carried this child and even what you went through, giving birth to them, it's probably how God feels, because He died for us on the cross. He went through such pain for us to be saved. And so, just that the mother cannot forget a child, God cannot forget us because of the pain that He endured on the cross because of us. And that's what a mother's love reminds us of. Christ's love for us. And as you rightly said, a sacrificial love. A mother will go hungry, but watoto wakule. That's how much God loved us, that He gave His life that we may have life. Thank you so much, Nelly. That has been such a wonderful, wonderful thing. I hope you've been blessed. You've picked up some truths there, and this is going to help us even as we move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
May the Lord bless you.
Thank you so much.
Karibu. And thank you so much, Kim, for coming and supporting your mother. Yes.